Ash from Super Videos back for another live stream discussion. This is going to be a discussion related to The Walking Dead. So, in the past few days, there's been a lot of things coming out as far as the world of The Walking Dead is concerned, which is why I actually named this particular stream. What did I call it? Let me see. New Updates of the Dead Universe, which I think is a fitting title of what we're going to talk about because there's been a lot of new things coming out, mainly because Scott Gimple, who's the chief content creator, I think, of the entire franchise, has done several interviews. Some of the interviews were related to the movies. He was asked some questions about that. He was asked some questions also in a separate interview about the third spin-off, World Beyond, and also there's going to be other things we're going to talk about, but that's going to be the main chunk of our discussion. But the other thing that we will talk about is some news about Season 6 of Fear. I originally actually wanted to make each of these separate videos, but I decided why not just bundle all of them together and just do one massive video, and why not make it a live stream so that if there's people watching, they can come in and basically put their opinions as well. So that's going to be what we're going to talk about. And at the end of the stream, what I'm going to talk about is some information about the channel. I'm going to talk about something that I tweeted about the updates on the channel. And some of you may not necessarily understand what I meant. Some of you may have thought that it was going in a certain direction, or it meant the channel was going to go in a certain direction. So I'll talk about that as well. But with that, let's start with this first interview that Scott Gimple did with EW about the Walking Dead movie. Now, their interview itself is extremely long, but there is no substance. There is no real content there. The thing with Scott Gimple is that he can do like an entire 2-hour interview and not really say anything and just go in circles. And this is exactly what that is. He's just finding different ways of saying the same thing. So there isn't really too much he really says. But we will go through the interview that he did. I'll read the questions and his answers, and then I'll kind of talk about what we can really get out of that interview and what it means for the movies going forward. So this comes from EW, like I said. I'll leave a link in the description after I finish the stream so you can go and read it yourself. But The Walking Dead movie to go in wild new directions. In part 1 of our comprehensive The Walking Dead overview sit-down, Scott M. Gimple gives an update on the Rick Grimes story for the big screens. Now this says part 1, so I don't know if part 2 is the part that relates to the World Beyond one, which we're going to cover, or if there's going to be additional ones that are going to come out with Scott Gimple's interview about the movies. But regardless, we will cover that as well or in a separate stream if it comes out. So I'm just going to go through the article and read the interview as is on there. It has been more than a year since Andrew Lincoln's Rick Grimes left the Walking Dead TV series, and franchise chief content officer Scott Gimple announced that the actor and character would be appearing in a trilogy of Walking Dead films. But other than a cryptic teaser at San Diego's Comic-Con in July 2019 that announced the first such film would be appearing only in theaters, news has been scarce on the project. So again, we're going to talk about this a little bit, but there seems to be some doubt about whether we're actually going to get a trilogy at this point. Scott Gimple is not the most transparent of people when he does interviews. I don't know if you've noticed, but we're also going to talk about that. But they're absolutely right. There hasn't been any real concrete concrete material coming out about the movies, which is what's frustrating most fans at this point. EW sat down for a wide-ranging discussion with Gimple on the state of the Walking Dead franchise, and in part 1 of our chat, we asked where they are with the film script, if the director has been chosen, where exactly people will be able to see it, and what we will see on screen. Stay tuned all week for Gimple's updates on The Walking Dead, Fear the Walking Dead World Beyond, and other upcoming Walking Dead content. So like I said, I don't know if it's going to be like multi-parts, but only part one is going to concentrate on the movie, or if he's doing multiple parts just for the movie. So that remains to be seen. Entertainment Weekly, it has been more than a year since you announced you would. So that's actually getting into the question. So an Entertainment Weekly interviewer, his name is Dalton Ross. So he basically asked these questions. So that's the question. It has been more than a year since you announced you would be making a Rick Grimes movie, or Rick Grimes Walking Dead movie. Do you have a timeline in place in terms of shoot dates and locations already locked, or at least close to locked? So we all have learned in the past few weeks that they are in pre-production for the movies, which means that all of what they talked about should be pretty much at the forefront of their efforts, right? But as we will hear in his answer, that may not be true. So Scott Gimple says, we have a couple of different plans that we're going with. Very vague again. Depending on a couple of different factors. So we have to deal with on everything from story to product aspects. There has been a lot of different aspects to it in terms of timing that are pretty much coming into rapid focus right now. I would say the past year in a lot of ways has been R&D, research and development, on a lot of aspects of it. So he didn't really say much. All of that was to say nothing is in place. What we did in the last year was just research and development. So we researched everything that's going on in the Walking Dead universe. We tried to put everything in place timeline-wise to make everything work out. And that's all in our head. But nothing concrete. So nothing concrete has come out. So basically what he's saying is that we don't have any real plan at this point. We have some discussions, or we've had some discussions. We've had some timelines in mind, but nothing concrete. Again, a pretty long answer, which doesn't really say anything to us about what's actually going on. The next question, where is the script? Where are you with that? And his answer really concerned me, because I thought at the very least they would have the script in place, and they would know what they're doing with the script. After all, the script is what started the whole thing, in my opinion, in terms of having a movie. If there was no movie, or if there was no script, I don't think they would have even planned the movie. You know what I mean? So I was at least sure they would have the script locked down. But it appears not to be the case. Because what he says is, we are currently refining it, which means there is no script. It's just things that he wrote down, but they're refining it. So there's no real script in place right now, which concerned me, because we're in pre-production. We should have at least the script down at this point, or by this time. I don't want to say much more than that. It's coming together amazingly, which, you know, he's just giving us a, what do you call it? He's just making us excited, or trying to get us excited. But he didn't really say anything to get us excited. You just saying that it's amazing is not going to get us excited, Gimple. Let's get that straight. But we're trying to make this very special for everybody involved, and we're holding our feet to the flames. It's an incredibly deliberate process right now. Again, all of that, we can't say much. The only thing we can really say about it is that there's no script in place. There is some script, but they're refining it. So, again, that's concerning. Because at this point, I thought, like I said, there would be the script in place, or the script would be in place. Next question is, do you have a director for the film yet? In which he answers, there's no director chosen. I would be surprised if they go with Greg Nicotero. As great as Greg Nicotero is, this is a movie. I mean, they have to go with someone who can, or not that he's not capable of it, like Greg Nicotero, but it has to be someone different. If we wanted to have a movie where Gimple is writing and Nicotero is directing, it's just a very long Walking Dead episode. You know what I mean? So I'm hoping they go with a director other than Greg Nicotero. Or if Greg Nicotero is going to be the director, I hope there are others who are going to pitch in. Because I want it to feel different than Walking Dead. And I feel like we may not necessarily get that if Greg Nicotero or someone who's directed Walking Dead before is the director. Again, nothing against Greg Nicotero or anyone directing Walking Dead episodes. It's just that in order to get something new and, unique and cool and different, it would need to be someone who hasn't directed Walking Dead material before. The next question, in that little teaser you showed us at Comic-Con in July, which was pretty much minimal. Like, they could have given that to us the episode Rick disappeared. You know what I mean? It said only in theaters. What does that mean? Is there anything you can tell me about the theatrical window? Because obviously it's AMC, but you've got Universal and Skybound. So there are at least all of these entities involved. He answers, this is a movie that's going to be watched in the movie theater. So there's been a lot of speculation whether we're going to be able to watch it at home or whether this is in movies or in theaters. But what he appears to be saying is that the first time we can see it is in theaters. Afterwards, maybe after a few months that it's been in theaters, it may be released to AMC or maybe even go on Netflix. We don't know. But for now, what we know for sure is that it'll be in theaters at the beginning. Eventually, you won't need a movie theater to see it, which goes back to what I just said. It might go on Netflix, it might go on AMC, might go on AMC Premiere, something like that. But more in line with how movies work. And I think what he's saying there is that movies basically go to theaters, then in the old days, they would go to DVD, but now either, they'll just get a digital copy or they'll go to Netflix, something like that. So that's pretty much that. Then the next question is, so this is not a situation where it screens in theaters, but then it airs a few days later on AMC. And he says no. And I was actually shocked because he usually doesn't actually say yes or no. He rambles on without actually answering the question. But in this case, he actually answered. So he says, no, this is a theatrical film. Yes, there's AMC, there's Universal, there's Skybound. There are a lot of parties working together to cook up something special. So this goes back to what we said. Probably it'll be in theaters, then it'll come out either in AMC Premiere or on AMC itself, or it'll just go to Netflix, or it'll get a digital copy, or a combination of all of those. Next question. Is the plan still for 3 films? And this is something else that concerned me, because even though he is saying yes, the next thing he says concerns me, because it seems like they are not too sure about actually going with 3 movies and a trilogy, which is what they teased for the longest time. So he says yes, but we are still playing with things. So playing with things, that concerns me. That means that they're definitely going with 1, but they may not necessarily be going with 2 and 3. So that's something of concern if you were really excited about a trilogy of movies. But he says that's the plan right now. So at this point, we're still led to believe that there's going to be a trilogy, but they're playing with things, whatever that means. Next question, which is an interesting one. So it says, the question is, we know it's Michonne's last season 10, obviously, that they're referring to. Is Danai Gurira going to be a part of this film in some way? And I was actually quite surprised they asked this, because usually they don't ask these questions because there's no answers. Really, they say we can't go into spoilers or specifics. That's pretty much what he said, but he said it in a way which is interesting. He says, I don't want to go ahead of The Walking Dead. That's interesting. So does that mean that we will get an answer about that question in The Walking Dead, which is why he can't reveal that to us in this interview? If that's true, that means that however Michonne exits, it'll clearly let us know whether she will be joining the movies or not. And if that's true, I would be shocked if they tell us somehow that she's not going to, by killing her. I've said this before. For a long time now, I've really believed that she's going to exit in a way where it's open-ended, where she's going to come back in the movies. and reunite with Rick. And what's going to take her out of the story is going to be something that's going to be of connecting to Rick, or letting her know that Rick is alive, which takes her out of the story. If you're interested in that, stay tuned for the very next video I'm going to post. I don't know if that's going to be tonight or tomorrow, but the next video I'm going to post will talk about all of the different theories about how can Michonne exit in a way where her story is going to connect with Rick Grimes, and she's going to appear in the movies. So stay tuned for that. So he says, I don't want to go ahead of the Walking Dead. I don't want people already looking to what Michonne might or might not be doing next. She has an amazing story coming up in season 10, obviously. Most of that, I think, is going to be in the second half, because the first half, she didn't really have any story that really connected to her exit, other than the mid-season finale. But when they're saying amazing story coming up, I tend to believe that they're talking about something that's going to be coming up in the second half of season 10. So she has an amazing story coming up on The Walking Dead that informs everything moving forward. So that kind of connects back to what he said earlier. I don't want to get ahead of The Walking Dead. So it seems like they're definitely going to, for sure, tell us what's going to happen to Michonne in her final episode, much like what they did with Rick. He left, and at that point we didn't know there was a movie, but we did know he wasn't dead. So I think that they're doing something similar, and maybe after a few days or after a few weeks or months after Michonne's final episode, they'll reveal what's going to happen to Michonne. But I don't want to go ahead of that. We worked really hard on that, or real hard on that. He's obviously referring to Michonne's final exit story arc. So that's very interesting. The next question that they asked is, what about other people in the Walking Dead universe? I'm thinking about Heath or other people that we haven't seen in a while that might potentially be popping up in terms of some surprises. So the people that I think they're referring to are obviously Heath, like they said, but other people, I think maybe they're talking about Jadis or Isabel, who we saw in Fear the Walking Dead, or maybe other people who were in one of these mediums, one of these Walking Dead shows, who we haven't seen in a while. What he says is, I can't even give you a definitive answer because we really are playing around with it a little bit now. I'm going to reread that. Because we really are playing around with it a little bit now. So they don't know for sure, pretty much. I don't even think at that point they've talked to the actors playing those characters, asking them whether they can come back, maybe other than Jadis. Because for Jadis, I feel like she has to be there. You know what I mean? Or I hope she's there, because it doesn't make sense if she's not. At least she has to be there for a little bit. But they pretty much can't give us a definitive answer. We have a terrific area and direction we're moving in, but we're playing around with various aspects of it. I feel like if they did talk to the actors and they did know for sure that those actors are going to appear, then they would have for sure told us, yes, but we can't reveal who it is. But the fact that they're saying they can't give you definitive answers means they really don't know. Like maybe they don't even have anyone other than Rick who is going to be there 100%. So that's why they can't really give away that information. The next question is, what can you say narratively about Rick? Obviously, when you read that, you know he can't really give us anything because it's spoilers. But it's a great question, but obviously he can't really tell us anything. We saw him going off in a helicopter. What can you say about where the story is going to go? To which he answers, we are going to continue to tell Rick's story, and we are going to discover so much of the world through that story. So that makes sense. Rick went to a community that's part of an organization so big that we've seen lots and lots and lots of references to it in the different Walking Dead mediums that we have. And it's so big that basically building it up in such a way that they have. So it's not surprising to me that they're saying that it's going to reveal so much to us about the world. Rick will be challenged in different ways. That in some ways, everything that he's been through has sort of prepared him. That's an interesting comment here, because the way he says it, he says everything he's been through is going to prepare him for what's coming. That means that potentially he's going to be using his experiences, having faced the things he's faced. So what does that mean? What does that mean? That means that possibly the amnesia theory is false, which I'm glad for, because I thought that theory, or if they wanted to do that, that would be underwhelming. So that leads me to think that when we see Rick, he's going to know who he is. He's going to know where he came from, which is great. Now, the question is, why doesn't he go back? We don't know. But I think it's a very good prediction or speculation to say that they're using his family and his communities as leverage. They're saying, if you go against us, if you leave, so they can use that against them. They say, if you leave, if you do something, then we're going to go and harm those people, harm your family, harm your friends. So I think they're using his family and communities against him. That's why, or they're using them as leverage. That's why, as much as he might want to go back, he can't go back. It's a much larger world than the one that he had been operating in, which makes sense. And that was challenging in and of itself. Now things are heightened, and just as we're going to the movies, and it is the movie's proper, suitably widescreen. I don't know what he's saying there. I couldn't quite understand. But he's saying we're going to be filling that screen with a brand new world, which is great. So we could possibly learn a little bit more about what he says in that answer, which is good. For the most part, though, he's not really saying much. The next question, I was going to ask you about that in terms of production elements. How is the scale different? How is your budget different? And again, for this particular question, he actually gives an answer, which is great. He says the scale is bigger and the budget is bigger, which is great, because the budget on the TV show is nowhere where we want it to be. So I'm glad that the budget is bigger. I mean, it's movies, right? It has to be bigger, but at least he's actually coming out and confirming. And it's The Walking Dead, but heightened, both in the narrative themes, but also in just what we see on screen. I say heightened, but I should say it's also very different. It's not going to be the exact same thing we saw on television, just larger, which is great. So they're not just taking what we saw in the TV show and putting it on screen in the movies, which is pointless. It doesn't make sense. So I'm glad that at least he's saying that for sure. We are going in some wild new directions. Movies are a different beast than television, which is very true. Television is like, boom, we're done. And I think what he means by that is that he's talking about like a certain season. Boom, we're done that season, and that's it. Next season, it'll build up again. It'll maybe pick up from where it left off and pick up certain elements from previous seasons. I think that's what he's saying. But movies, to calibrate an hour and a half, 2 hours is no joke. And it's been a lot of fun. So I think what he means by comparing the two is, like I said, the television is like every season is building the next season in a way. But movies, it's not like the first movie is going to build up the next movie. The first movie is going to have an entire story from start to finish. It's like, if you think about it, the movie in terms of television comparison would be taking everything that happened in season season 6, episode 9 with Savior's introduction, or season 6, episode 10, all the way to 8:16. All of that in one season or in one movie. And if they want to put that in a movie and put every episode, it's going to be like hours and hours long. So obviously they're going to have to cut it down. They're going to have to trim it. They're going to have to really just keep the things that are required, that are necessary. So they don't have the luxury to keep scenes, or not scenes necessarily, but episodes that are there to build up characters or build up stories and are there to let the stories breathe. So they don't have that luxury. So in a way, in the movie, if you really want to take that whole story arc with the Saviors, you're going to have to cut it down to 2-3 hours. And that's what TV or why TV and movies are so different. So I think that's what he's basically saying, how he's comparing the two. And it's been a lot of fun, but it's a real challenge, and we take it very seriously for the fans. We really want to deliver them something special, something worth their trip to the movies, which makes sense. If we're going to pay, not just pay, but if we're going to go to the movies, take the time, put the effort, drive or walk or whatever to the movies, it has to be worth it. You know what I mean? TV is different because it's an hour of you watch it, that's it. At home, at your own, or comfort of your own home, you watch and you're done. You can't do that with movies, or if it's going to be on theaters, I mean. So that's great that they're giving us something that is going to be worth our time. We're trying to be very deliberate and deliver something new. So that's very, very exciting as well. And that interview was done by Dalton Ross, like I said, on EW, or Entertainment Weekly. Now, before we go to the chat comments and questions, and before going to the next topic, I do want to kind of talk about something else. So, if we go to the Walking Dead World's Twitter page, so I'm going to shout them out, they actually put out a post or a tweet that I think summarizes what we just read through. So I want to go through what they had to say as well. So they say the biggest takeaways from Scott Gimple's interview about the Walking Dead films is the following. The script is not finished, which, again, is concerning, like I said. No director has been selected, which, like I said, is concerning. 3 films still planned, but they are playing with things. Again, that's of concern to me because I thought that they would at least know for sure they're doing 3 movies. They would lock that down, but it seems like they haven't. Scale and budget is bigger, which is great. So that's the only kind of wonderful news out of all of these. The next thing that I would kind of add in here is they do reveal to us, or he does reveal to us, that we're going to get a definitive answer about Michonne's arc or exit story and whether it's going to connect to the movies in season 10's second half. So I think that's another thing that you need to add in. And the final thing, which is not concrete, but what we can say is that the amnesia theory is false, and Rick is not going to have memory loss problems. You know what I mean? So that's that. Now, before we move to the next article and the next topic, I do want to read the comments here from the chat. Let me just check to see if we're still good on the stream. So hopefully that didn't really impact people watching. But let me know if there's a lag. Like, do it in capital letters, because I'm not going to read the comments right then and there. So put it in capital letters, there's lag or something. So I, focus my attention towards the other screen that I have to know something is up before I continue. So reading the chat comments and questions, Mario3 says, what's up, please continue. Glad you could join us, Mario. Then he says, don't mind me, and then internet bugging a bit. So that's what I was talking about with the lag. Hopefully it's good now, but again, let me know, write in capital letters or whatever. Let me focus my attention towards you. But glad you could join, Mario. Llama1E, I think they have a spy in Alexandria who are reporting Rick's family status and everything. And Rick could be the leader of the mysterious group. the mysterious group, you mean the group that connects to Virgil? If that's what you mean, I think that's a theory, but maybe not a widely talked about and not a popular theory, but it's a good theory. So you're saying that maybe he sent Virgil, maybe he's the leader now there in some way, or one of the leaders, and he sent Virgil to get information. You know what I mean? That's a theory, and that partially connects to the theories, or has some parts of the theories or elements of the theories that I will discuss in the other video that I will be doing either tonight or tomorrow. But yeah, that's definitely a good comment. Mario 3, they don't have Llama 1E because they don't want CRM to be the story of The Walking Dead. That's a great point as well, because they did say for sure that CRM will not appear anymore in The Walking Dead TV show. So that means that Virgil is probably not from CRM. But again, they could be misleading us. Mario 3, that's what he said in an interview. Llama 1E, I think we will see this group in Michonne's exit. Which group? Virgil's group or some other group? I'm confused now. Let me know. Mario 3 has to be Mario 3, and after that, no more CRM in The Walking Dead. Yeah, I think after Michonne leaves, we will definitely not have anything else connected to CRM, for sure. Llama 1E, Michonne really needs strong evidence of Rick's survival for her to leave. Absolutely. I absolutely agree with that. Mario 3, Gimple wants CRM to be a part of the World Beyond and movies. Yes, it's going to be a part of the World Beyond, a little bit of it, but nowhere close as like a big chunk of it. It's not going to focus on CRM. It might tease them. It might even have some characters from there, but not the entire thing. But the movies for sure. The movies are CRM, basically. Mario 3, don't read comments yet. Just go to the topics first, or get through the topics first. Yeah, that's what we did. We covered topic 1, and then some comments or questions and answers, and then we'll go to topic 2, topic 3 after, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about my tweet about the channel update. But we'll go for another minute of Q&A here, if there's any other questions, and then I'll go to topic 2, which is related to Gimple's interview about World Beyond. We will be moving on to the second topic here. So this one comes from Collider, and for those of you that don't remember or don't know, Collider was actually the very first source that told us about Rick's exit and the fact that it was going to be a movie. Or not that, actually. No, it was the first source that actually told us Rick was going to leave, I think, before his episode even aired, or season 9 even aired, I think. So this one comes from Collider. The Walking Dead World Beyond will have crossovers and ties to the original series, which is interesting. This comes from, this interview is done by Ali Gemel. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. So I'll go through the article again. There will be more than a few noticeable new elements to the forthcoming AMC series, The Walking Dead World Beyond, a spin-off of The Walking Dead focused primarily on the generation of teenagers who survived in the zombie apocalypse, seeing in the original series and its first spin-off. Fear the Walking Dead, as well as the new world which has formed out of the life-altering event. Ahead of The World Beyond's debut in April, so that's one reveal right away, we now know that Season 1 is going to premiere April, which is interesting. So before I continue, one thing I do want to say. We do know Walking Dead's Season 10B is premiering February 23rd, I think. So if we consider that, take that into account, and if we go in 8 weeks, because we have 8 episodes in the second half, that's going to take us to, or 24th, sorry. February 24th. That's going to take us to, let me see here. So there's going to be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's going to take us to April 13. So is it safe to say that the week after, the Sunday after, April 20, is going to be the premiere of World Beyond? That may very well be true, because then in that case, because we do know season 1 of World Beyond is 10 episodes. So if we take that into account, that means that 6, 7, 10. So June 22 is going to be the finale. So that means June 29th, or maybe the week after, or something along those lines, or somewhere there. That's going to be when we're going to see Fear the Walking Dead Season 6. They might push to July. They might have 2 weeks off and then start that in July. But that might be where they're going, like the timeline of it. How they might be making everything work out and putting everything together. Before I continue, my camera battery is dying. So let me replace that before it dies, before I continue. So give me like maybe a minute, less than that probably, so I can replace my camera battery. I'll be right back. All right, so I am back. So yeah, the first part of that, or the very start of that, reveals to us that World Beyond Season 1 is going to air April. And if you kind of think about how the timeline might be, they may be doing this where the second half of Season 10, Walking Dead, is going to go from February 23rd to I think it was 15th, like we said, something like that. April 15, I think. And then the week after, it's going to be World Beyond airing. The Walking Dead Chief Content Officer, Scott M. Gimple, is opening up about how the spinoff ties to the two preceding series in the franchise, referring to Fear the Walking Dead and The Walking Dead's original show. How the show plays with the franchise timeline and what kinds of crossovers fans can expect. Fans can expect. Speaking with Entertainment Weekly, so even though this is on Collider, his interview was still on EW, Entertainment Weekly, which is where they took this from. Speaking with Entertainment Weekly, Gimple first clarified how well World Beyond's timeline would match up with the timelines in The Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead. Technically, World Beyond is a little bit behind, but not much. Not enough for people to notice. So it's pretty much in the ballpark where it's going to take place at the same time that we have Season 10. Start of Season 10, something like that. Gimple shared with the magazine and then clarified how much further behind in time this new show's timeline really is. It's very, very close to being simultaneous, but a little bit back. Yes, not in a way that anyone will probably notice. So I don't even know why they did that. They could have just said same time, but maybe there's a real plan for it. Maybe there is a purpose, Gimple went on to explain how the World Beyond will tie to the previous Walking Dead series, touching on specific instances from past episodes, which hinted at the World Beyond. Which hinted at the World Beyond. I'm going to read that last sentence again. Touching on specific instances from past episodes which hinted at the world we're seeing in the new spin-off. So this is actually a comment or a quote from Scott Gimple now. We're going to be discovering this very big aspect to the world that we haven't yet seen. We've seen glimpses of it on the shows with the helicopters and with the soldiers that we saw. Isabel on Fear. The movies that obviously touch upon some of the methodologies or mythologies, as well as Rick being in one of those helicopters. In some ways, World Beyond, it's a big story, and yet it's a sort of, not even sure what that is, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern to Rick's Hamlet. So obviously Hamlet, Shakespeare, but I don't know what he's saying there. Like, I haven't read Hamlet. Meaning the show and the movies touch upon some of the same things, but they're not really that deeply related. So that's interesting. So Rick is probably not going to show up. We're probably not going to see any kind of concrete link. If anything, the thing that we know for sure is that a helicopter with the same symbol on it that as the one that took Rick is going to show up in World Beyond. We saw that in the teaser. A character is going to get out of that. Elizabeth, we don't know who she is, but she's a leader of some type. And she might have a connection to CRM. That's as far as we know so far. When asked about whether there will be crossovers on World Beyond with Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead, Gimple was equal parts vague and in-depth, hinting that there are definitely conversations behind had about crossovers since these shows all exist within the same universe. There might be a big aspect of crossover with one of the shows. That's the other part of it. The other part of it is we have seen these plans, but we've got to execute them. And went on to remark, and this is a quote again from him, they do have a universe. So where there are opportunities, we want to take them. Even with that album cover with Ryan Hurst's Beta appearing on Fear the Walking Dead, which we talked about before. It was so funny. I mean, just by virtue of the fact that there was a scene with all of these records in it, and we knew this shared aspect, we didn't even want to make that a big deal of it, or make a big deal out of it. We just wanted it to exist in there so that people might deep cutwise, we were hoping one of those two might notice in the future. So he's basically saying we put it there, we didn't really reveal, but we wanted diehard fans to notice. We didn't want to make a big deal about it. It's just nice, even onto ourselves, between the shows, to feel that it's one world. So it seems like there might be crossovers, but only if the opportunity comes up. It's not like they're going to do something like what they did with Fear the Walking Dead and Morgan and Dwight. Because for those, the opportunity wasn't there. They forced it. But the Ryan Hurst one, like he mentioned, the opportunity was there. That's why they did it. So it seems like maybe that's exactly what he's saying. This time they're not just going to force it in, but if the opportunity is there, they're going to do it. And I think that's the end of the article. So that's what we have to work with at the moment. Confirmation of plans for crossovers to happen, even if they're more sly than overt. Plus intentions to keep honoring what's been established on The Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead, while also making sure World Beyond is entirely its own show since it takes place in Nebraska community. So that's the other thing we knew for sure before even, was that it's going to be in Nebraska. A place far away from the ones we've seen so far. Gimple's comment hints at a spin-off with the potential to revive the Walking Dead franchise, and yes, I'm all on it. So that's pretty much everything we can say. So crossovers are a possibility. It's going to air in April. And that's it. That's pretty much it. Only two things we can really get out of that. But before we move on to the third topic, which is related to Fear the Walking Dead Season 6, it's just one picture that we're going to look at. That's pretty much it. But I'm going to go to the comments and I'm going to breathe a little bit. So I'll give it like maybe 10-15 minutes of comments or questions. We'll go to the topic, talk about that, and then I'm going to jump into my tweet about channel updates. I'm going to clarify a few things. And that'll be the end of the stream. So write your questions in the chat. We'll go for 10-15 minutes. There's one comment here. Let me read that. Fear the Walking Dead Season 6's finale, week after No More. Rick Grimes movie trailer. So I think what you're saying is that after the season 6 finale of Fear, they're gonna reveal the Rick Grimes movie trailer. I doubt it. I hope, but I doubt it. Mario 3 Gimple confirmed. Commonwealth not being CRM for the second time. Yeah, I know that's been a theory or a speculation before, but now we know for sure. Like, there might be aspects of Commonwealth that they're not doing in Commonwealth and they're going to do in CRM, like the Rick Grimes story, but I think most of Commonwealth is going to remain Commonwealth. Mario 3, that was funny. Yeah, that he said it the second time, yeah. And while we're waiting here, one thing I do want to mention is if you are a subscriber, if you don't know YouTube, I don't know what's going on with YouTube, but it's unsubscribing you for some reason, or it might be. So it's extremely important if you are a subscriber and if you think you're a subscriber and you notice that you don't see any kind of notifications or anything like that, first check to make sure you're still subscribed. The other thing, again, this is part of YouTube issues, but make sure that you are still on the thing, or what's the word I'm looking for? You are still going to be notified. So make sure the bell button is pressed. So the bell button is right next to the notification button under the video. It should be somewhere down there, or down there, I mean. Or yeah, somewhere below. So make sure you're both subscribed, and if you want to receive notifications on upload, make sure to check that the bell button is pressed. If you're not a subscriber, if you enjoy the content, make sure to subscribe for more content like this. This channel, we talk a lot about Walking Dead, so if you want to stay on top of Walking Dead information, this is a great place to be, so make sure to subscribe. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like. And also, last but not least, make sure to share, because it does really help. It gets the word across that, that we're covering Walking Dead, and it gets other people to the channel. So it's also extremely important to do that if you want to help out a little bit on the channel and expand the channel. Llama 1E, I just wonder what R stands for. We've talked about that before. There was a picture that kind of leaked that tells you what CRM stands for. Mario 3, I'm not going to say it here. I've done videos on it. You can go check it out, but it's there. Like, we know pretty much what CRM stands for. Mario 3 CRM doesn't stand for each community. It's already been revealed. Again, there's been conflicting things about that. At this point, I still think CRM is one community, but I could be wrong about that. There's a lot of conflicting information, I should say. Mario 3, I should say, leaked. Llama 1E, Commonwealth, or Monument. No, Commonwealth, C doesn't stand for Commonwealth in CRM. That I know for sure. The M is most likely Monument, yes. All right, so we're going to go to our second topic here because there doesn't seem to be any other questions. Or third topic, sorry, our third topic. Our third topic is Fear the Walking Dead Season 6. So on The Walking Dead's Twitter page, on one of them, they have so many, on one of them they revealed this picture of Season 6 of Fear the Walking Dead. We have Dwight and Sherry. So this confirms to us Sherry is going to appear in Fear the Walking Dead Season 6. Now, does this mean Sherry is going to be found and reunite with Dwight? Most likely, but the other possibility is that this is a dream sequence or flashback. So there's that aspect as well. But I think it's great that we're getting this crossover. I mean, for Sherry, this is a crossover that I think is not forced. It works. Dwight is there. Sherry is not in the Walking Dead original show. Make it happen. You know what I mean? Unlike, like I said, Dwight and Morgan, whose crossover was forced. So that's very interesting. So this is the picture. Now, if we just look at Dwight, I think that looks more like the Dwight we have now than the Dwight from before, right? So that leads me to think that this is not a flashback or a dream sequence of some sort. Maybe a dream sequence, but not a flashback. So I think what this reveals to us is that we're most likely going to see Sherry and Dwight reunite in Fear the Walking Dead Season 6, which is absolutely exciting. Now, one thing, if you don't know, I'm not going to cover Season 6 of Fear in the way you think. So here's the thing. Season 10B of The Walking Dead, I definitely will cover, and we have a whole schedule for that. We do, reactions, predictions, breakdowns of the teasers and trailers, predictions, things like that. So that's all that. We're going to have the same Walking Dead original show schedule for Walking Dead World Beyond on the channel, which means, again, breakdowns, reviews, reactions, predictions, all of that good stuff for the first season. Season 2, 3, and so on, if they get that many, if it continues, we may or may not have that schedule. It all depends. And what it depends on is whether people are going to want to see it, where the demand is. But Season 1, I will definitely cover most of it. So that's that. Now, Fear the Walking Dead Season 6 is an interesting one because I'm not going to cover it weekly when it comes out. What I'm going to do, and I've talked about this before on a separate video, what I'm going to do is when it starts, I'm not going to basically cover it. I'm going to wait till the first half is done, and then I'm going to binge watch episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And basically post my reactions to every episode I binge watch and basically watch. And it's probably going to come out like one day after the other. So in 8 days, I will post every episode of Fear the Walking Dead, Season 6A. Every episode, the reactions. And then I'm going to do a review of the first half. And that's going to be it. And then if I do additional Fear the Walking Dead shows for the movie, whenever it comes out, whenever it might be, when it comes out, obviously it's going to be in theaters, right? So what I'm going to do is obviously go watch it in theaters, but I'm going to review it. I can't do a reaction, obviously, but I'll do a review. And additional videos most likely will come up after that review about the movie, discussion videos. But that's pretty much it in terms of what I'll cover for Walking Dead, Walking Dead 3, and Fear the Walking Dead, and the movie. Now, with all of the topics out of the way, I do want to talk a little bit about my tweet. So, before I do that, though, let me read the comments here. Comments or questions. Where were we? Oh, Mario 3 following titles have been revealed for Season 10B, I think you mean. Yep. Mario 3, 1009, Squeeze. We talked about that actually on a video. 1010, Stalker. That's interesting. 1011, Walk With Us. Whisper related, obviously. 1012 Morning Star. That's interesting. And you have a link to comicbook.com article. I'll definitely check it out, and I might do a video on it. Depends if there's anything really to talk about. But just quick thoughts. Squeeze, we talked about that before. I think that's just really addressing the situation at the cave, the trap. Someone's squeezed. They can't get out. They may die. Something like that. 1010 Stalker. That's interesting. Not sure what that means. Honestly, I don't know what that's about. 1011, which has been rumored to be Michonne's final episode, it's called Walk With Us. Maybe Whisper related, like I said, but maybe related to someone saying, walk with us. We'll get you to Rick, to Michonne, something like that. 1012, Morning Star. I think it might be 1012, Michonne's final episode. Anyway, so that's interesting. 1012, Morning Star. Not sure what to make of that, honestly. Llama 1E, rest in peace. No, I think we're back, right? Yeah, we're good. Maybe it got shut down for a sec. It's back. Jimbo, she did miss it. Or shit, did I miss it? Sorry, yeah, you did miss it. We had like a whole stream where we talked about a lot of topics, a lot of reveals about Walking Dead, the different things in the franchise. It'll be posted right afterwards, so you can go and watch it. But we're pretty much at the end of our stream here. Mario 3, 1012 is Michonne's last episode. Yeah, Morning Star. That's interesting. I don't know what to make of that. That's interesting. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine, what that means, really. Or what it means in terms of Michonne's story. Mario 3 Morningstar refers to a medieval weapon. You can Google it. Perfect for Michonne's position at the moment. That's cool. I'll check it out for sure. And if I do a video on this, I'll definitely talk about that. But thank you for letting me know. All right, now I'm going to talk about my tweet about channel updates. So I'm going to read my tweet. There's two parts to it because Twitter only limits you to certain characters or a specific number of characters. So I'm going to read my tweet and I'm going to talk about what that means. So here it is. I regret to inform my Supervits fam that I will no longer be doing videos that are hot in the market, and I put that in quotes, and will rely on you to choose videos which will be uploaded. So as it stands, scheduled videos will stay as they are, and completely up to you to decide on what additional content will be put out. The lower the demand for these, meaning views and as a result interest, that's really what I'm looking at, the lower the frequency of these additional content. So if you remember, we used to be at a point in the channel where I used to upload every day. Upload maybe 5-minute videos, 2-minute video, 3-minute video, talking about something that's hot in the market, something that everyone's talking about, something that just came out, some news, or something that just we can do a video on. But now what I found is that maybe it's because where the channel is, maybe it's because of where the Walking Dead is, but these videos don't really have interest anymore. So what I'm gonna do is obviously, like I said in that tweet, scheduled videos like the one I just mentioned earlier will stay. They'll stay as they are, and additional ones after that that are still scheduled that I didn't write or I didn't talk about is the reactions to The Mandalorian for season 1. That'll continue. Gameplay for Telltale's Walking Dead. That'll continue during the off-season Walking Dead. And when Last of Us 2 comes out, I'll do gameplays of that. Not live stream gameplay like we do with Telltale's Walking Dead, but still gameplay for Last of Us 2. But other than all of those, additional content like the one I'm going to upload after this, maybe tomorrow night, about theories about Michonne's exit, those types of videos that are not really scheduled, those will depend on you guys. I don't know if you've noticed, but in the YouTube community section, in the last few days, you've probably noticed I've been asking, what do you want me to do? Which of these videos? Vote. and then maybe I'll let it go for 2 days, and then I'll do that video that is most popular. So that's precisely what I'm gonna do. So it's not like every video that I mentioned before in those 2 polls that we did, I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna do all of those. If anything, we might do a video that combines multiple things at once, like we did tonight. But I'm gonna ask you guys, what do you want to see? And then I'll take the results and then see, and then do a video on whatever has been chosen. And then it's not like I'm gonna do a video the day after. I'm gonna see how many people are actually interested, how many people are actually watching what I just posted, how many people are actually interested to see content on the channel. If we get content views, which means video views, if we get the views, if I notice that people are interested, then it'll be another poll. Okay, good. What do you want to see next? And then it'll be a couple options based on your interest and what you want to see and demand. I'll put the next video. It's not like, with that said, it's not like I'm not going to do a video if like there's only 20 views on one video that I post. It's just that the frequency will go down. I won't post every 2 days or every day or every 2 days. I might post unscheduled videos maybe every 3 days, something like that. At that time, the video I post may not necessarily be hot in the market, but it is what it is. I would know for sure that at least at that time, enough time has passed where, people may tune in. You know what I mean? So that's that. That's what that tweet really means. So going forward, you're going to see a lot of poll questions on YouTube community, which is going to basically ask you what video do you want to see? And then based on demand, based on what you guys need to see or want to see, that's going to be what video we do going forward. Again, scheduled videos like live streams, like we talked about, Q&As and things like that, everything that's scheduled that we talked about, we will do the same way. None of those will stop. If anything, I will probably, after Mandalorian, start talking about a different show. And then maybe 2 shows at once. And then going forward, we might talk about more and more shows, even during Walking Dead. But that's not going to happen right now. Right now, it'll be one at a time, step by step. But what I can tell you for sure is that unscheduled discussion videos the frequency for those will definitely, it's up to you. If I see that people on the channel, my SuperWits fam, are interested to see these content, the frequency will go up. Or at the very least, every day we'll do a discussion video. But if there's no demand, then, the frequency will go down. But that's pretty much it. Let me go back to the comments here. Mario 3, it might not be referenced, but good to see. Yeah, I'll definitely check that out. And you're talking about the Morning Star thing. I'll definitely check it out. Llama 1E live stream The Last of Us 2 would be dope. Maybe we'll do a poll. Which one do you want to see, live stream or non-live stream? The thing with live stream is that, I don't know if you've noticed, but it lags a lot. And I mean a lot. So that's not good. And also, if I don't do a live stream, I'll get a chance to trim it down maybe a little bit to maybe have parts that you'll be interested to see. If there's one part of the game that I keep replaying because I keep losing or something 30 times and it's taking an hour, I might trim that down to maybe 2-3 times, maybe 10 minutes, something like that. So maybe we'll do a poll. Which one do we want to see most? Or do you guys want to see most? That's what it means, really. But thanks everyone for chilling with me on this stream. Hope you guys enjoyed this stream. It was a little bit out of nowhere, and quick notice, but we talked a lot about the stuff that have been coming out in terms of Walking Dead 3, and Fear the Walking Dead, and the movie that Gimple talked about. So I thought might as well just combine all those into one huge video. And because no one really likes huge videos or long videos, why not make it a live stream so that we'll have a more interactive video. But if there's no other questions, and I'll give it like maybe a minute to see if there's any other questions. But if there's no other questions, that'll be the end of the stream. Again, if you are not a subscriber, if you enjoyed the content, subscribe and like the video. Also, if you're a subscriber, make sure to see if you're still subscribed, and make sure the bell notification is on if you want to receive notifications when we do uploads, and share the video if you want to help out expand the channel and get other people to see the channel and bring in more people. But I think that's it, since I'm not seeing any more comments or questions. That'll be the end of the stream. Thanks everyone for joining and, asking questions, and hope you guys enjoyed the content. I'll see you guys soon. Oh, sorry, one thing. Stay tuned for the video that I'm going to do probably tomorrow night at this point, related to Michonne. It's going to be theories about how Michonne could possibly exit, for her exit to connect to Rick and the movies in some way, shape, or form. So stay tuned for that video tomorrow night. And obviously, actually, wait a minute. Tomorrow night is Friday night, which means we have our live Q&A. So live Q&A tomorrow at 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Don't forget that. It might be a little bit later because I might not be able to make it back by 6 from work, but we'll see. 6:30 probably, but we'll see. So if that's the case, then maybe Saturday is when I'm going to be able to upload my video that I just mentioned about Michonne. But we'll see. There's another one coming up after, but again, it's going to depend on you guys whether you want to see it or not. It relates to X-Savers being Whisper's theory. But I'll post another poll about that coming up after we do the next video. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Live stream tomorrow. The discussion video on Saturday. And then we'll see where we go from there. That's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you soon.